The seven wonders of the ancient world have been hidden around the world for as long as we know it. When they were made long ago, the seven wonders have seen their time. Many of the ancient wonders today are gone because of natural causes or from human destruction. If somehow today we could see the beauties that are called the seven wonders of the ancient world, it would change the world and the buildings around us as we know it. After all the history that has passed before us, it is time for me to show you the history of the wonders, like when they were built, when they were destroyed, and the effect the seven wonders have in the buildings and monuments today. The pyramids of Giza are a prime example of leaving a mark on this world. According to the researchers from History.com, the pyramids of Giza were built nearly 5,000 years ago. But enough about some stacked bricks called pyramids, and let's talk about a garden. But this kind of garden is something we will probably never see. The History.com staff reports that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon are storied to be up to 75 feet tall. But what makes these gardens even more interesting is that, of course, the king made the gardens for his special woman so she wouldn't be homesick anymore. Though we aren't all gardeners here, we don't have to be sculptors either to admire the statue of Zeus located in Olympia. Lee Christek recognizes that the Greek sculptor Phidias had created the godly statue of Zeus, and that he had worked on it for 12 years in order to complete it. In time, with the statue still standing, it was praised and worshipped whenever the Olympic Games were going on. Although Greek sculptures are mainly what catches history's eye when it's old and there's a bit of history to it. It's no different with the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. There were many temples dedicated to Artemis that were built. Lee Christek believes it was also rumored that at the time of the Second Temple's destruction by an arsonist, it was also the time Alexander the Great was born. This wouldn't be the last temple either. The third and final temple would be built on the same foundation in the swamplands as the other two. But there aren't only shrines to worship gods. But the mausoleum of Halicarnassus is different than that. The mausoleum was made as a tomb for their ruler, much like the pyramids of Giza. His queen sought for the construction and the finish of the tomb after the king died. Lee Christek concludes that, even after the queen's death, only 2 years later, she was cremated and spread through the tomb where her husband lay in his coffin. There are certainly lots of tombs for royalty that are deceased. Instead, there is a wonder that represents a god. The Telegraph article states that the Colossus of Rhodes is modeled after the Greek god Helios, which isn't a surprise. Back in those times were various statues or monuments the Greeks had dedicated to their gods. The statue stood more than 60 feet high and was placed at the entrance of the harbor of Rhodes. The last of the seven wonders of the ancient world isn't a statue or a tomb. It was a man-made lighthouse called the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Telegraph claims that the Lighthouse of Alexandria stood over 137 meters in height, making it one of the tallest man-made structures in the world that is a lighthouse. There are extremely tall structures and monuments, but what man is always tempted to make something better and bigger. That is why today there are still wonders being made, and some to dedicate to people, some to house the dead, and some to help guide the way. Destruction is part of the cycle for everything, but some things may live on forever. The pyramids of Giza are a good example. The Telegraph recognizes that even to this day, the pyramids of Giza still stand strong and tall. Even though there might be a few ton blocks missing, it doesn't take away the beauty that is the pyramids of Giza. Something that is gone, though, is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Though simply the Telegraph believes that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon never actually existed. Even though it can't be found, the legend lives on that there is a giant garden out there in the world. Somewhere. Now to an ancient wonder that is actually destroyed. The statue of Zeus at Olympia. Ancient history encyclopedia says that the statue was neglected when Christianity was becoming popular. The statue would later be taken to Constantinople after they claimed the statue was part of pagan rites and banned by the church. But a wonder that couldn't stand right was the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. The temple dedicated to the goddess would always in its time be a target of war. The Ancient History Encyclopedia states that first it would be destroyed by the Goths in their first war, and later laid to waste by a Christian mob. The third time it was rebuilt, it would later be destroyed by an earthquake. But a place that can have nice things is Halicarnassus. The mausoleum was the pride of the city. The Ancient History Encyclopedia questions how many earthquakes it actually took to topple the mausoleum, though they say it took about a series of earthquakes to knock it down. The The mausoleum of Halicarnassus stood for many centuries until being fully dismantled by the Knights of St. John of Malta. It is truly a tragedy that a beautiful product of man gets destroyed, and the Colossus of Rhodes is one of those creations. K. Broderson proclaims that after 60 years the gigantic sculpture was toppled by an earthquake. Another true example of craftsmanship is the Lighthouse of Alexandria, but like many other wonders of the ancient world, it too was destroyed by a devastating earthquake. K. Broderson explains how the lighthouse wasn't functional until they actually made it a lighthouse for sailors. Too bad after the earthquake it didn't help so much. The destruction of the wonders of the ancient world have taken so many prime examples of what man is capable of. The destruction by man and Mother Nature have taken a toll on what is produced today and what currently exists. Even though destruction is part of the cycle of life, it can be cut short by Mother Nature and man. Though the past is in the past, the history and story of the seven wonders of the ancient world still lives on. Some of the buildings and structures today are regarded as the new wonders of the world, taking on some of the old ideas of the ancient wonders. The Telegraph has compared many of the ancient wonders to the current structures today. The pyramids of Giza can be closely related to many structures all over the world. There are pyramid-shaped structures all over, including buildings in Paris and Las Vegas. Of course. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which could be part myth, was a highly sought-after design. It would seem that man would be enticed by the idea to make the impossible. The Dubai Miracle Garden is what comes to mind to people when they think of something related to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. A statue of Zeus at Olympia is a statue made out of many fine metals and jewels. The only statue that can compare to this one nowadays is the Golden Buddha in Bangkok, which is the world's largest solid gold statue at 5.5 tons. Wow. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus looks like one of the government buildings in the U.S., which is the Supreme Court. The Temple of Artemis is truly a wonder to behold, and much like Greek architecture, it can be seen all over the world. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus is a memorial that would be very hard to imitate. By completing the impossible, man has crafted the gorgeous Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal was also a memorial to the ruler's loved one, which passed away. Now, all the way to the sea, we can find the Colossus of Rhodes. The Statue of Liberty was very closely modeled after the Colossus. The standing with the torch can be related to the sculpture. The very last wonder of the ancient world is the Lighthouse of Alexandria, a model for all lighthouses to be made in the present and future. Though there are not many wondrous lighthouses in the world, one of the best that stands today is the Jeddah Light that stands in the Saudi Arabian city. The seven wonders of the ancient world is something to behold and marvel. When they were made, there was no technology to help them like there is now. When they were destroyed, it was truly a sad moment for the world, to lose such amazing products of man. But in the end, the design of such ingenuity would live on forever and help create some of what is now called modern marvel.